your hometown radio station. Welcome to 101.7 KSAM and the Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. It's time for the Hornet Nation Coaches Show with Huntsville coach Rodney Southern. Live from True Texas Barbecue inside HEB. Tonight, Coach Southern talks about last week's game and what to expect from this week's opponent. Now, let's go live to the coach and your host, Rob Hipp.
All right, friends. Pleasant good evening. Can y'all hear us out there tonight? All right. Hey, it's Hornet. Hey, I got the bell ringing. You hear that, Brian?
I hear that.
You hear the bell back there ringing?
The bell is in their house.
Well, we are back for another exciting season and want to welcome everybody again here. Let's give it up to True Texas Barbecue.
Oh, yes.
And speaking of which, I got Miss Vicky. I said, hey, Miss Vicky, this year do you think you can toss in a couple of plates of barbecue? Actually, she volunteered. So y'all enjoying the food tonight? Y'all
Yes.
out there enjoying the food? All right.
Yes, we are.
Time to get excited. So, well, Brian, just another wonderful year. I'm Rob Hipp alongside Brian Adams, the former Huntsville Hornet. Were you a quarterback?
Used to be.
For the Hornets?
A long time ago.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Hornets and Bearcats. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited. We were blessed and privileged to have this show last year, able to bring it back, and a big thank you again to True Texas Barbecue. This show is all about highlighting our kids in the community and all the wonderful things that are happening with the Huntsville Hornet football program. Brian, here in just a few moments, we'll take a break and bring Coach up. We had the scrimmage last week, but let's go back even before that. An exciting season last year. It was the third-round nemesis again, but you got to give these kids credit. Just an exciting season. It all came down to that Crosby in overtime, but, boy, it was such a great season.
Oh, it was a great season. It's been a great several seasons. And last year, unfortunately, one little penalty moves us back 5 yards, and it kind of changes the dynamics of the kicking game when you're trying to win a ball game. So, yeah, that was a tough break. But what is exciting is seeing these kids coming out and competing, and only thing they know is win. That is the only thing they have in their mentality is to win a football game at all costs, and couldn't be more proud of them. Looking forward to this year. It's going to be exciting.
District champions last year in a COVID year, taking care of business, looking forward to more of the same this year from our wonderful kids here in Huntsville. For now, though, we'll step aside. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll bring up head coach Rodney Southern. We'll talk about the season and more. Stay with us. This is the Hornet Nation Coaches Show live from True Texas Barbecue.
Toyota's national sales event is going strong at the #1 volume Toyota dealer in Brazos Valley. Bryan College Station Toyota and Huntsville Toyota. Now's your best time to buy with our absolute lowest prices on every used car, truck, and SUV in stock. We have one of the largest used inventories in Texas. Don't wait. With our lowest used car prices ever, these vehicles are selling fast. Plus, we buy cars. All makes, all models. Get top dollar today. Bryan College Station Toyota and Huntsville Toyota. The promise of something different. Based on Texas MVR retail vehicle registrations 2020.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it has to be El Gordo Taqueria at 611 11th Street in Huntsville. Check out their new outside deck. It's big and roomy for your dining pleasure. El Gordo Taqueria has new menu items, including the combination plate, Gordo special plate, burrito Texan fried whole tilapia, chicken burger, Tex-Mex chicken enchilada, BLT sandwich, and the El Gordo burrito. Place your order today. Dine in or carry out. And remember, you can get breakfast all day, every day, as well as their burritos, tacos, amazing nachos, quesadillas, enchiladas, and gorditas. So do yourself a favor. Make it El Gordo Taqueria. Now available delivery to you from DoorDash. That's El Gordo Taqueria. Open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And now open on Sundays, 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. For the absolute best authentic Mexican food in Huntsville, it's El Gordo Taqueria. Call them at 936-295-TACO. That's 295-8226. Try it once and you'll be hooked. El Gordo Taqueria.
All right, friends, welcome back. True Texas Barbecue. How's everybody doing tonight? Brian Carroll, the Hornet Quarterback Club booster, brought the bell, so we're going to be hearing that a lot this season. So thank you for bringing that, Brian. And I'm sure that Stephanie would appreciate it if you don't ring it right now because she's sitting right there next to you. But we'll keep it going throughout the night. We're now joined by our wonderful head football coach and athletic director. Let's give it up this season, as always, in his 8th year, I believe, Coach Rodney Southern. Coach, good to see you. And, Coach, I got to make sure maybe that we'll make sure that microphone's flipped on. And do we got you?
Is that better?
Let me crank it up a little bit, Coach. Go ahead.
Testing, 1, 2, testing.
There we
you
go.
We're good.
It's those early preseason. We thought we'd get all that
Getting
taken
the
care of.
jitters out.
Yeah, we thought we'd take care of it in the scrimmage. But, Coach, Brian and I talked a little bit earlier. We'll talk more with you here about the previous season. But how have you been doing? It's good to see you.
We've been actually doing really well. We've, knock on wood, we've stayed pretty much injury-free. We've stayed COVID-free up to this point. And we all know that's still something we're going to battle probably all year long. And we're actually doing really well. The turf's done, so we've got an unbelievable field to practice on now and play on. So we're excited about where we are right now and a little disappointed about what's not going to happen Friday night. But we've made some adjustments, and we'll make do with what we've got to do to get ready for this week and obviously to get back on track hopefully next week.
Coach, you mentioned that new turf over there. It's beautiful, isn't it, folks? Y'all see that just a couple of weeks ago, last week? And, I was kind of tricking you, but you read into it because I came by to see you, and I was asking you about the fiber and the internet and that kind of stuff, and you said, well, come on, let's go out there and take a look. And really, Coach, I just wanted to walk on the field, so thank you for that. I knew you knew that's what I was asking.
Well, and it's an incredible surface, and obviously, Dr. Shepard and our school board, people understanding that, that's something that was desperately needed, but it's also going to be the playing surface hopefully in 2 years for our brand new stadium as well. So, but it is a good surface. It is much cooler than the traditional rubber infield surfaces, and we were on it 4 hours the other night against Lufkin, and you could definitely tell the difference.
It's something that, we can all be proud of. We're talking to head coach Rodney, Southern Athletic Director for the Huntsville Hornets. Coach, let's talk a little bit about last season. A tough year for all of us. We're all going through this pandemic, but we made it through, and it was especially tough for student athletes. There was so much uncertainty, having to battle through all of those uncertainties, trying to figure out what's going to happen, how are things going to happen. It's so neat as a community because I felt like football was the one thing that really pulled us together in a time that we needed that. What really made you the most proud or the proudest last year, Coach Southern?
Well, probably the biggest thing with the amount of uncertainty that you have with a pandemic situation, a lot of people that if you don't get sick or you don't have any issues with it, you really probably don't understand the magnitude of what it actually did, not just to the state of Texas, but the entire country. But, I thought our kids, having to wear the buffs and do the things that we had to do, cleaning weight rooms, spraying field houses, those are things that we had already been doing prior to all this just to prevent staph infection and a lot of the other things. So, but I think overall, to me, and it's always hard for people to kind of understand it if you're not a football fan, but football gets the fall going, and if your football season's good, normally your school year's good. We ended up with 7 of the possible 12 district championships throughout the year, so I think football kind of sets that standard, and hopefully we can continue that. But overall, just how our coaches and our players handled whatever it was, because we were in the very situation last year that we're currently in now, where our week 1 opponent called on a Wednesday and canceled, and we had to enter squad. Fortunately, we're going to be able to get another scrimmage tomorrow night, and that will help us prepare for the first game against Willis again. So, there's a lot to be proud of, and obviously winning 11 games and winning a district championship, going undefeated in district, all those things are good. But, we've also got to look and say that was great, but now that's over because this is a brand new season. But I think it's also 7 years, fixing to be 8 years into it now. I think we've established hopefully our culture, but we've also established, not everybody wants to play us anymore, and that's a good thing. It's tough at times, but it's a good thing for our kids, and they understand the expectations that are there now.
Hey, Coach, one of the things you and I talked about when I first met you, it's kind of, I think it had to do with off season. When you got here, there was only just a handful of kids that showed up to work out. Talk about what off season's like at that point when you got here 8 years later. Talk about your off season, the camp, and what you expect from both sides of the football this year.
Well, the biggest thing, I felt really odd about it. The first summer we were here, We played 2 7-on-7 games, and I shut the weight room down in June because there wasn't anybody coming. And some of that was culture. Some of that was just not understanding if you're going to play at the level we expect to play at, what you're going to have to be able to do. And the UIL has also stepped up over the last 4 years and given us the opportunity to do skill time in the summer, and obviously strength and conditioning, something that's been going on. But I think the pandemic helped a little bit in that because it gives kids an outlet. But I also think when you win 12 games and 10 games and 11 games and the expectation level gets so high that, I know I got to be here as much as I can. We still tell our kids, look, put in the work in June, and then in July, if your mom or dad or family's going on vacation, go. Or if you're going to church camp, go. Because at some point you still got to be a 15, 16-year-old kid. But, we've been averaging between now and the summers, we're averaging between 100 and 150 boys and close to 100 girls every day. And that was a little tougher this year, not having the turf to be able to do a lot of that on. But we were still able to manage. We played, I think, 17 7-on-7 games. And we get all that done now in the month of June. And we get all that skill time. So, our spring training through skills, by the 1st of August, we're ready to play a football game almost, other than the conditioning part. Because, this past week was probably the first week where, it's 99 to 100 degrees out there. And good thing the turf was new, and it made it a little better, but it's still a hot time of the year.
Right.
But, the program's come so far. Our young kids, our junior high kids are one of the reasons, because we joked the other night that, most of these seniors were in 5th grade when we got here. So they don't know any different now other than the way we've done it. And obviously the program and hopefully the kids are reaping the benefits from that now.
We're talking to head coach Rodney Southern here as we go back. Normally this is a section where we look at the previous game. Of course, we've just had that one scrimmage so far. And, Coach, I did kind of want to talk about that briefly. You scrimmaged Lufkin at Hornet Field, of course, this past Friday. You stated, I believe I was reading in the Huntsville item, you stated how proud you were that the offense handled the ball, maybe ran the ball a little bit more than you were wanting to, but you also had talked about the inexperience on defense that showed up at some times. You got a lot of young guys, but overall you thought that the young kids played well. Can you talk a little bit more about that and just the scrimmage in total?
Well, overall, we've scrimmaged. This was the 8th year that we've scrimmaged Lufkin, and historically Lufkin's been one of those programs in 5A, 6A that people have kind of looked at that's kind of a standard in that area or in the East Texas area. And, and we feel like now, especially over the last 4 years, we've been able to line up and play with them every time we've played them. Probably the best thing the other night, or a thing that we hoped to get in, I didn't like the way it ended, but, we got to do a live 2-minute drill the other night. We got to go for 2 twice. Because there's some rule changes in overtime, and there's some things that I kind of intentionally hoped we were going to get into so we would have opportunities to work on it, because, it's going to come down in the 3rd or 4th round of the playoffs where you got to win a game like that.
Coach, you're entering your 8th year, as we talked about earlier, as the head football coach and athletic director after embracing this community back in 2014. It's so weird to say back in 2014 because it seems like it was yesterday, but yeah. Here we are. How have you been able to really mold this program to the success level that we've experienced under your leadership here these past 7 years, now entering 8?
Well, I think the number one thing is I think this community for ever how many years, if you go back to Joe Clements and or if you go back to Mance Park, whichever coach you kind of pick, this community's always had the idea and the understanding that you got to do certain things and you ought to be successful. You ought to have athletes and you ought to be at a point where you can compete. But that's not as easy as everybody thinks it is because of the amount of other distractions that are out there now in terms of UIL distractions, in terms of obviously kids have lots of opportunities today to do things, whether it's through social media or video games and all that other stuff. But I think the number one thing anytime you go into a place, if you can't establish a culture of consistently winning and winning not necessarily on the scoreboard, but doing the things you've got to do to be successful as a young adult. You know, if we couldn't have established that, you know, I wouldn't still be here. And I think part of that is having a superintendent that understands. I think another part of it is I feel like we've done a good job as a coaching staff of holding on to guys that, you know, both our coordinators, of course, Coach Brewer's been with me 20 years. Coach Schroeder's been with me 13 years. A lot of these guys have either some way through the system have either been with me or played for me. So, you know, to keep that continuity in today's world is extremely difficult, and we've been fortunate to do that. So I think all those things, and obviously when your culture becomes where we have it today, kids want to be a part of that, and they want to be successful. And, you know, and I spoke to the Lions Club this summer, and I told them, and I truly believe this, kids today, they still want discipline, they still want structure, they still want organization. Now, they want you to love on them and have some fun too. And obviously winning is obviously the most fun thing about all of it. But I think our kids have embraced it, and I know our coaches have.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time in this first segment. We'll step aside, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll look ahead to this upcoming season and talk about that scrimmage versus Waller coming up tomorrow night. Stay with us, friends. This is the Hornet Nation Coaches Show, live from True Texas Barbecue. We'll be right back.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Staples comp books, 2-pocket poly folders, 24-pack Crayola crayons, and 8-pack Pep Rally No. 2 pencils are just 50 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school, they'll be first day of school pop quiz ready.
It's showtime. Visit
your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Ends 9/18, limit 30, prices may vary online.
With Amdro, you can enjoy your backyard like never before. Our round-the-clock pest protection gives you the peace of mind to enjoy your great outdoors without a care in the world. Cannonball! Okay, we can't defend you against the splash zone. But when it comes to fire ants and other pests, we've got you covered 24/7. Find Amdro in the insecticide aisle at your nearest retailer.
All right, friends, welcome back. Y'all having a good time tonight here at True Texas Barbecue? All right. Well, we're continuing the Hornet Nation Coaches Show with head coach Rodney Southern. And in a minute, too, I'm going to acknowledge some sponsors that are in here. We appreciate all the support from the community. Coach, we're looking ahead to this upcoming season. Worthing, of course, had to cancel this week, so the Hornets are scrimmaging Waller tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We were in that similar predicament last year, having to scrimmage there in the first week. Can you kind of walk us through, you mentioned a little bit, maybe walk us through the format of what we can expect with this scrimmage this week?
Well, this one will be a little bit different, not significant, but it will be different. Coach Johnson at Waller and I have known each other for about 30 years, so we're going to treat the first portion of this very much like the professional teams do when those two teams practice together. We're going to do some true inside run together. We're going to do some pass rush. So where we can all get out there and coach all of our kids, and they'll get reps, not only at their key position, but some of them will get positions that they haven't gotten as many reps at. And then we're going to do a portion live, depending on whether time-wise, whether that's 2 quarters or 3 quarters, because we need to see the speed live. They've had some other issues where they haven't had an inter-squad or a scrimmage. So it's a little tougher for them, but for us it's a tune-up now to get us ready, obviously, for next week.
Coach, with the game against Worthing being canceled and replaced by a scrimmage a day earlier, how have the kids been preparing this week for that?
Well, we told them Tuesday, because I was kind of figured this was coming on Monday. We told them Tuesday morning, so we made Tuesday afternoon like a Wednesday, and we made today our Wednesday afternoon like a Thursday. And the good thing for us, and of course I didn't tell the kids this, but the good thing for us, you know, 2 of our last 3 district games are going to be on Thursday night. So that was one of the intents of getting this scrimmage moved to Thursday. The other one, Friday night, I'll take our whole staff and we'll go watch Willis and Tomball. They play at Willis, and he's not going to want to trade a scrimmage tape for a game tape, so we'll get to go see them live. So it actually ends up being probably for us, then we'll get our Saturday back on our normal routine just like we always do, but it'll end up being good for us. We just have to approach it that way.
Coach, a lot of great things happening. What are you looking forward to most about this upcoming season?
Well, I think hopefully this community, and we've talked about it before, obviously passing the bond and preparing for what is coming athletically over the next 18 to 24 months. I've told these seniors and the seniors that left a year ago and even some of the seniors from 18, the things that are going to happen here over the next 24 months.